So very good evening to everyone watching this video. I am Manat Sharma, ESI faculty at Oliveboard, and I'm here with this very special session that we have. And we have Harsh Tomar with us over here, who has recently cleared the SIDBI Grade A examination. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, Harsh. Congratulations on this achievement. How are you feeling right now?
Well, thank you so much, ma'am. And as you said, like this is indeed a big achievement. So, like on my personal front, I would believe because this is something which I was working really hard for the past 1 year. Not SIDBI per se, but for the entire basket of regulatory board exams. And definitely the day when the result came, actually, I was working when the results came, and I couldn't check it even for the next 2 days. It was not until when the SIDBI HR called me up, and I still remember I was sitting on my desk when I got the call, and he was just confirming some credentials from me, and then I asked them like, what is this call is regarding? Then he told me I'm calling from SIDBI. This was regarding the grade A exam that you appeared in. So I asked him that, have I cleared this exam? So he told me, yes, the results are declared like 2, 3 days back. Where are you? Like, why haven't you checked the results already? So it was definitely a life turning moment for me. And definitely when I told my family and when I told my friends, everyone was really very happy for me. And they were congratulating me, especially my parents, my family, because I've been at home for last 1.5 year, and they've seen me preparing for these exams, struggling, facing setbacks, then getting up, then preparing again. So yeah, it was a very rewarding journey.
Your parents must be really happy after this achievement, right?
Yes, definitely, and it's especially a very happy moment for my mother as well, because I just received my posting letter yesterday only, and the first posting that I've got is Jamnagar, which is like the hometown of her best friend. So she's packing her bags to go along with me. So she's more happy than me right now.
Great, that's great, and really congratulations to you. Let's begin this session. And first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself, briefly introduce yourself, your educational background, your professional experience. Just tell us about yourself.
Sure. So I'll start from the graduation. So I graduated from Ramjas College, Delhi University, and I did a bachelor's in sciences, and my domain was life sciences over here. Post which I went for an MBA. I appeared for all these entrance exams, CAT, NMAT, XAT, and all these. And I got through a couple of IIMs and NMIMS Mumbai, which was my best call. So I went to NMIMS Mumbai for their flagship course. I was a pass out of a 2021 batch, COVID batch. So 1 year was offline on the campus, and the second year was online. So another great experience. Then afterwards, my like if I tell about my NMIMS experience, I was interning with Cipla Health at the time, and because it was COVID and lockdown, and there was such a high demand, my summer internship with them was almost for 6 months along with them, and I was definitely expecting a PPO call from them. However, due to budgetary crunch, they didn't roll out PPOs to anyone that year, and definitely that was a low for me. I was very uncertain what is going to happen because it is COVID. And there was this company, an NBFC, which came along. They were offering a good profile, good salary. So I just get along with it, and I cleared the interview round, and then that's how I landed in my first NBFC job per se. I'm telling this background because I never, in my thoughts, have like thought that I'll be going towards the banking or the financial sector because my MBA was in marketing, and then this was something which like eventually lead me to the SIDBI as well, because this was one of the qualification criteria that they asked. Though it was not mandatory for the MBA for having any experience, but it was good to have that if you have any 2 years of experience in a banking or an NBFC or relevant organization, financial organization. So yes, 2.5 years of corporate life was great, and I cannot complain that I had a lot of work or anything like that. My work culture was chill. It was a startup though, but there was no pressure as such on me, and I was doing good over there. However, I always had this nag inside me that this is not where I belong. I always wanted to go into some administrative field where I can be a part of larger change making process, and that's how I decided that it's time that I quit, because I was doing very well in terms of my career in corporate, and I definitely could afford taking a risk at that time. So in December 2023 is the time when I quit my job, and my primary targets were RBI and SEBI. I was not even aware about SIDBI, NABARD, and all these other exams. Uh, I started my journey of preparation for SEBI first, because SEBI exam was the first one, and that's when I take even the Oliveboard classes and the study material which was available on their platform, and also the test series, because this was something which was a very different format of examinations that MBBS conduct, especially the English part. If you are aware that what I'm talking about, they ask you to type in the entire précis and then reading comprehension answers and such things. So these all require a good typing skill. So definitely a lot of practice was needed. That's when I still remember during my preparation for SEBI mains, I constantly kept on mailing the Oliveboard team, please check my answer, please check my answer, because I was so curious to get feedback as soon as I can, so that I can work again on the next one. And yeah, definitely those feedbacks helped a lot and went ahead in a long run. And yeah, that's how I started my preparation. So just to brief up you up on the preparation journey, thus far I gave RBI Grade B, then SEBI Grade A, and of course SIDBI Grade A was my third regulatory exam that I appeared in last year. RBI I cleared three. I couldn't get through the mains, sadly. For SEBI Grade A, I cleared the pre, I cleared the mains, and then I even appeared for the interview, but I couldn't make into the final merit list that appeared later on. So definitely that was a setback, because I was very sure that I would. But again, nevertheless, then I appeared for the SIDBI. I still remember this was the last exam which happened last year in around December 2024, when pre happened. And I was able to utilize the same study material which I earlier purchased from Oliveboard, and plus there were some other topics that were there. I was also keeping a check on them, and yes, eventually here I'm sitting. Yes.
Okay, so basically you were preparing for many examinations. So the SIDBI was not exactly your main target for
Yes.
the examination, but since you were preparing for other banking sector jobs and other regulatory body exams, so you gave this exam just like everybody does, and then you just qualified this examination because you were already preparing for tougher examinations like RBI Grade B. Maybe probably because of that you were able to clear this exam, but you have not specifically targeted the SIDBI exam, right?
Ma'am, I'll tell you a very honest, you can say a quote that someone, a senior of mine, told me once when I just entered the waters of preparing for these government exams. That government exams are not a race, not a competition. They are like a marathon. You have to just keep running. You never know when you are going to end and when you are going to see the victory. So you have to just keep running. So that's why it's not never about. I never targeted SEBI or RBI either. I was targeting all the exams all together.
So it's like, just keep giving exams, कोई ना कोई तो निकल ही जाएगा, just like that,
कोई
right?
ना कोई तो निकल ही जाएगा. करेक्ट करेक्ट एंड इट हेल्प्स एक्चुअली. जो गलतियां आप पहले करते हो वो आपको आगे जाके हेल्प करते हैं. मैंने जो सेबी के एग्जाम्स में मिस्टेक्स करे थे, बिकॉज दैट वाज द फर्स्ट एग्जाम दैट आई वाज गिविंग फॉर आईबीपीएस. आई मेड श्योर कि जब मैं सिडबी का मेंस लिख रहा था कि मैं वो सेम मिस्टेक्स ना करूं.
Right. And the more exams you give, it's like mock tests. You're giving mock tests and you realize your problems and you realize your mistakes and all, and you try and not repeat it the next time, right?
Correct. In that particular sense, I think so. Olive board के जो mocks थे, they have helped me a lot, especially जो उनके English वाले mocks थे. They were like very relevant, very to the point, and on the similar lines were my SEBI mains as well and my uh, SIDBI mains as well. The topics were more or less on the similar lines, so I can say that it has helped me a lot.
Okay. So let's phase by phase. Okay, let's talk about first phase. So there were
Yes,
seven
yes,
sections first phase, right? There were
yes,
seven
yes,
sections. I mean, this time seven sections is a lot, basically, right? So how was
definitely.
what?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking a little in between. Can you just check on the network end?
Just a second, I'll just check. Is it fine now?
Yes, it
Is
is
it
fine. Yes, ma'am. I heard your question. I'll tell you about my phase one prep and strategy. And I'll be very honest here because if other aspirants might be able to relate to it, I had a UIIC prelims exams on 21st of December, and on 22nd December it was SIDBI prelims. So I was preparing for UIIC more. My focus was more on that. Reason being, it was directly the pre and an interview. There was no mains in that. So I thought I had a better chance over there. Sadly, I didn't end up in the cutoff area for that exam, but it's fine. I got something better. Yeah, but for as far as SIDBI is concerned, so my attitude towards the exam, because it was December as well, we were approaching New Year, and I was already in it for almost a year now. My honest opinion was that I've appeared already for SEBI, I've appeared for RBI, and it is an IBBS exam, so it will be on the same lines. So it was not until on 21st December when I opened the PDF and went through the sections of the exam. It is then I realized that English, reasoning, and quant, which were like my strong forte because of CAT and all the exams that I prepared in past, that these were just the qualifiers, and the main game starts with all the rest of their awareness, general awareness, MSME relevant and stream specific syllabus. So of course it was a eye opener. Late in the night, I still remember it was 12 or 11:30 or 12 in the night when I actually got like the reality check that I need to prepare this. And I had no other option at that time. My exam was next day at 12:30 in Sector 62 Noida. So I knew that I had some time, and I had to utilize the best I could. And the best thing that I could have done was just go on YouTube and go through the master classes or the marathon sessions.
Yeah.
Yes. So I started with them. I saw 2 marathon sessions that night before going to sleep. Then I woke up early next day. Then again, I saw 2 marathon sessions. Then one session, I remember I kept it on my dashboard in my car. I drove myself on that day for the exam. And while driving, I was listening to the 5th marathon session. And I was totally not expecting that I'll get through the pre-phase. However, I think so. The past preparation for RBI and SEBI somehow helped me a lot, because even though it was not explicitly mentioned about a few things such as uh, leadership, management, lean practices, such kind of topics were not explicitly mentioned for the SIDBI syllabus. However, the questions on them were asked, and these were the topics which I have prepared at the time of SEBI as well. So that somehow helped more or less. And apart from that, the other thing that is very very important for any exam is whatever notification that the organization is issuing, it is like a Bible for you. Whatever word by word that they are mentioning in that syllabus, you should have at least some idea about it. You should have at least covered it once. So I made sure whatever marathon series I am watching in 24 hours time that I had, I made sure that I'm checking I'm taking all the specific words that were mentioned over.
Okay, so basically, if I talk about your phase one में QRE section, you were already good at that, right? Quant, reasoning,
Yes.
and that was because
Correct.
of doing CAT and obviously preparing for RBI and SEBI. So,
Yes,
what was
yes.
the specific strategy for QRE? You explicitly prepare for it as well while preparing for RBI grade B, like giving mock tests, or were you attending any sessions, classes? How did you prepare for it, QRE? If you have to, tell someone who's preparing for the examination, what would you suggest in that aspect?
I'd suggest I don't think so. They have a very tough level of QRE. If I talk about it, it's more about a speed game. The complexity of the questions is not that difficult if I compare it with other comparative exams such as CAT or MBA or even banking exams. Other banking exams, the difficulty level was not at that much. However, it was a speed game. And since it was a qualifier, so I tried to attempt as much as I can with a 90 to 95% of accuracy. And to prepare for that, see, in my case, I didn't require any coaching or anything for that, but definitely a person who is not coming from mathematics background or a similar kind of background, they can definitely go ahead and have some sort of coaching or orientation towards how to prepare for such QRE syllabus. But I think so more or less any standard book which you can get, for example, even for the UPSC CSAT exams. So they have a standard book who have all such kind of questions on QRE. Such kind of books can help you a lot. it's all about practice. You can never you can never guess what kind of questions they are going to ask, but definitely they are not going to be of that complexity or difficulty level if they are just a qualifier.
Okay. So now I have a question here. You have given SEBI examination, you've given RBI examination and SIDBI. Can you give a contrast related to the QRE section, which in which examination was QRE section the toughest and easiest in which of these papers? I'm just curious to know. I mean, since you've given CAT, you've done MBA, and then you've given RBI, SEBI, SIDBI. Out of these, which was the most difficult? But obviously, CAT would be the most difficult.
Yes.
Out of these three
Yes.
papers, what do you think?
So out of these three, definitely RBI was the toughest, and barely qualified the quant section in that. So I can say that RBI was the toughest. And apart from that, I think so. SEBI was moderate level quant compared to RBI. Uh, I don't know if it's because of CAT preparation or anything, but I didn't find English difficult in all three of them. Like English was like very easy level, I would say. Like if you have a good habit of reading books or like even for say watching English dramas or English series, so you'll be able to like you'll have a good practice of reading those things in a quick go, and you can just like summarize the important points out of it and remember it while answering the question. So English was not tough at all, but overall I would say RBI was the toughest in terms of QRE. The SEBI was moderate, and SIDBI was the on the easier end. And that was implicit, I think so, because it was qualifier anyhow for SIDBI.
Okay. Acha, like you said that you had not specifically checked the syllabus, and then you saw there were new things like MSME and NBFC financing. Some stream specific questions were also there, and you said
Correct.
that you prepared for it in like marathon sessions and all.
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't know if I'm asking the right question. How do you think was the level of difficulty of these questions? But since you are saying that you only saw marathon sessions and overnight preparation, you can say, but still you would have seen that the level of questions that were asked related to this. So were it like on the easier side, on the moderate side, or they were quite difficult, which out of these marathon sessions you were not able to do it or not? I mean, because you were working in an NBFC, so I'm sure you had the internal and the practical knowledge related to that, right?
Correct.
These were new and you did not explicitly read these out. But I think MSMEs is a basic topic. I think everybody reads it out once you are, preparing for any banking exam and all. And I'm sure when you were preparing for RBI and SEBI also, maybe you might have read about MSMEs and NBFC. So what was the level of questions? How would you describe the level of questions?
The level of questions were towards the moderate, and some were easy, but mostly were moderate level, and some were even tough. If I'll have to quantify them, I'll say out of 100, 10% were tough, 10% were easy, but 80% were on the moderate difficulty level. And let me say this with very humility that if I cleared the SIDBI pre, it was not because of my overnight preparation for it, so as to not give a wrong idea to any future aspirant. It was sheerly because I prepared for SEBI as well. I prepared for RBI as well. That's why I had a very good idea about all these syllabus topics. Plus, I had a working experience of NBFC. Plus, I got very lucky. There's no two thoughts about it. I just got lucky for the pre.
That actually overnight, but it was a lot of effort which you had already put in your previous examinations also. It was not like you're giving this wrong idea. I just saw marathon sessions overnight, and that is I was able to clear. That was not
Correct.
obviously possible. One more thing, marathon sessions that you were seeing. Do you think that these marathon sessions were helpful for the examination? You already had a background, right? But did marathon sessions like help you in this? At least 5 to 6 questions or what? Like, did it help you?
Definitely, most certainly. If not even ma'am, like if not even in case of direct answering those questions, like if even those direct questions are not there in the exam, it will help to churn your mind in a way, especially if you are watching these marathon session at least a day or 2 days before the exam. It will keep like bring your mindset in that direction of appearing for that exam first and foremost. And even about the questions for the general awareness parts, I got very lucky because at least 4 to 5 questions from the general awareness section were directly those which I listened to in those marathon sessions. So definitely these sessions are going to help. And they are a very good way of like remembering things and quickly revising all the concepts. Otherwise, like if you're going on reading things, you will not be able to like mug it up. But if you are listening to it, if you are participating in it, especially like I saw the past videos which were already like live streamed. But if you are participating in such marathon session which is live streaming, so in that case, if you're participating in it as well, and if you're getting any question which has been answered over question which has been asked over there as a wrong answer, then in that case you will definitely going to remember the right answer when the same question will be coming in the exam. So they are going to help a lot.
And you and visuals have very because it is sometimes said, whatever movie that you are watching, it really resonates with you. You actually grasp it very nicely rather than reading out books and all. And also this audio visual thing has a very good effect on you, especially when you're reading it 2-3 days before the exam. So wo yaad rahe jayega. You might forget everything that you've read, but you will always remember what you've heard, what you've seen. So that is, I think, a plus point.
Correct. प्लस मैम वो कंटेक्स्ट भी इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि आप अगर अपने नोट्स में से पढ़ रहे हो तो आप वो स्पेसिफिक इंफॉर्मेशन को पढ़ रहे हो, बट आप जब वो ऑडियो विजुअल में किसी फैकल्टी के साथ किसी मैराथन सेशन में देख रहे हो, दैट फैकल्टी विल नॉट जस्ट गिव यू द आंसर, दे विल गिव यू द कंटेक्स्ट, दे विल गिव यू द बैकग्राउंड, दे विल गिव यू द स्टोरी, दे विल इवन टेल यू सम इंसिडेंट्स एनेक्डोट्स जो तुमको याद रह जाएंगे कि हाँ उस सर ने ऐसा बोला था या मैम ने ऐसा बोला था. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ हेल्प्स.
Comprehensive view. When you're listening to someone who knows more about it and has a more comprehensive view, it actually helps you not only in your written examinations but descriptive writing in your interview as well, right? Because those things you remember. Interview preparation, I think listening to live sessions and having a faculty who's giving you direction is very important, है ना?
Correct.
So let's talk about phase 2 now. How did you prepare for phase 2? Descriptive and object portion questions are there. So how did you prepare specifically for phase 2? What was your preparation? Like let's say you have cleared the pre and now you have some time for your mains.
Okay, correct.
So how did you prepare for your this descriptive and objective portion of phase 2?
All right. So in a ideal utopian scenario, I'll say you should start preparing for mains the day you just gave your pre, because you get very less time after the results are declared. However, in my case, I was very confident that I might not clear the SIDBI pre because it was just an overnight revision. And I was not even keeping a tab on the result. So the result came around 7th or 8th of January. And I guess on 10th, when I was surfing YouTube, I probably saw Oliveboards or any other such related video only where the headline was SIDBI Grade A result out, what next? So then I got to know, okay, so the result is out. I should at least check what was the result. Then I got to know that I've qualified pre somehow and then I have to prepare for the mains. And the mains was on 19th of that month and it was like 10 days apart. And I immediately started in the strategizing mode on the very first day when I got to know. I firstly went through that Bible again that I was talking about, the notification that SIDBI has released, because I understood the pattern of SIDBI that they keep on changing the syllabus of the exam year on year. So what the pattern of the exam was previous year or the year before that, it was not same as this time. So it is very important to look how they are going to conduct the exam every specific year. And I'm pretty sure that even the next year, they'll have some or other alteration or iteration in this pattern. They'll not have probably 7 sections. They might have 5, they might have 10. we never know. So again, I used the same strategy. I took each and every word by word, the topics, the subtopics. Then I prepared a strategy plan, like how I'm going to cover each and every topic, how much time I'm going to allot to every specific subject. And there are a few things which are very important if people are targeting specifically SIDBI, the MSME Act of 2006, then the RBI directives for MSME, which is around 2017-18, and there are some amendments to that in 2024 as well, and they keeps on coming. And then there are the schemes which are related or relevant to MSMEs. these three are like the most important topics if we talk about the phase 2 preparation. And there are some other minor topics like REC norms and the provisionings and also I had a fair idea about them because I was already working in NBFC. But the three I mentioned are like the topic which like gives you the most yield when you are preparing for SIDBI. And then yes, I allotted dedicated time for each and every subject. I did a very deep study from the whatever books I was having, whatever material I was having from Oliveboard, and whatever things that I could find on YouTube. And definitely, ChatGPT helps a lot these days. So it could be a very good mentor if you do not have anything else. And yes, I think so. My entire focus for the 8 or 9 days that I had during the phase 2 preparation was on the content of the stream specific or the general paper. And I did not have much of the English preparation as such because that was something which I was already fluent with and I have already prepared for the SEBI and RBI. So I was in a running practice of typing and writing the content. So I didn't prepare for that. I devoted my entire time to it. And it was a fair strategy in my opinion. And one very important thing why I was telling that notifications are very important. I studied the pattern of SIDBI. So the notification they released at the time of pre, they released a sample question paper at the time before pre. And when I compared it with the actual exam that I gave in December, there were an overlap of at least 4 to 5 questions. Similarly, at the time of mains, a few days back, 2 or 3 days back, they released a notification of a sample paper for the mains. And again, when I was like, there were 3, 4 questions that were given on them. I prepared them very thoroughly, and one of the question came exactly in the phase 2 exam. So it is very important to check every notification. They are giving them out for a reason. So that's how I prepared for the exams. Talking about the exam day, so be very well rested a day before because the exam, I don't know what they are going to conduct this year, but last year, like last time in my time, it was a 5.5 hours long exam in one sitting. So it is definitely very strainful for you. And the first section was definitely English. There were 4 questions asked. For English, I have this tip for the aspirants: try to devote maximum time to the section which you are weakest in. For my case, I thought that précis writing is something which I was the weakest in because I had to adhere to the content which was already given. And in essay, I can write anything under the sun. So that is comparatively easy for me. But précis was something which I knew that I am going to face some issues or some trouble. So I made sure that the first thing I attempted was the précis writing, and I devoted the maximum time for it. Ideally, for the 2 hour section of English, for 4 questions, you can give 30 minutes each for each of the question. However, I gave around 45-50 minutes to the précis writing because I wanted to make sure that it is correct. I was able to quickly uh, save some time while writing the essays. So that was the first part of the exam. The second part of the exam was again there were 100 MCQs on again stream specific and MSME related questions. The questions were also a few questions were also the numericals, which were 2 marks. Some questions were 1 mark, some were of 2 marks. But the numericals were also pretty easy, I'd say, on the easier end only. Like if you know the concept, it's just like adding 2 + 2. That simple. But if you do not know the concept, then you do not know what to do. So that level of questions were there. And again, it was a 1 hour exam for MCQ, and there was 50 questions, and I was able to complete it in 40 minutes. So after that, I had 20 minutes still free before the next section. I utilized that time very judicially to go through all the questions, reading all the questions again. And it is important. I'm going to tell why. Because one of the questions I remember was on MSMED Act, as I told, is very important for this exam. And that question was like, which of the following are the part of the MSMED Act? Then there were 4 statements which were written, which all are correct. And then the options were only 1, only 2, only 3, or all 4. So it was a very detailed question which was covering half the screen. And the answer was all 4 because all 4 were the correct statements. But I realized that this is a very important subject matter. So what I did was on my rough sheet, I just wrote down the entire question that was given. And similarly, I did for other 3, 4 questions as well. And when I moved on to the next section, the very first question that I had was on MSMED Act, and I was able to write the exact language of that act because I wrote down the entire question on my rough sheet in my free time. So that is something I think so helped me a lot. And another thing was that the second question was same as which was given in the notification, and the other 2 questions were related to MSME scheme and role of MSME or the future of MSME, such kind of questions. So all in all, by the end of the exam, I was pretty confident that I have given a very good attempt, and I was very optimistic again, but I didn't want to jinx it, so I was not tracking or I was not following what is going, what's not. But again, when I received the mail for the interview, I was very relieved and I was like reassured that yes, my instinct was right. Whatever I did, whatever I was doing was right.
That's great. That's great. So there were 10 questions asked in the descriptive portion, and you had to write 4. How did you choose?
Correct.
How did you choose? Which all to which all questions you're going to write. How did you choose it?
So the first one was no-brainer, which I already wrote down from the previous section. And because I knew that I can elaborate further more on this, and if I'm like writing very, very peculiar MSMED Act language, so the examiner will definitely be very impressed seeing the kind of work that I've put in, remembering everything. But like that is the secret that they don't know how I remember that. And the second question was also a no-brainer, which was something from the notification, same to same. So I was very well prepared on that. So these 2 questions were sorted. The other 2 questions, I went through the questions. So whatever the question they are asking in descriptive notes, it's not one question. It's always a question in 2 or 3 parts. So read each and individual part. Do not get excited just seeing the first part, because sometimes you might know the first part, but if they might have asked about, because I remember this thing, they asked a question about the scope of MSME and how women can contribute to it. And then they asked about a specific scheme which was relevant to women and MSME. And I was having no idea about the second part. Even though I was very confident about the first, I didn't know about the second. So definitely you can't pick such kind of questions. So very thoroughly read. I'll say just devote the first 5 minutes in reading all the questions and deciding which one you are going to pick. And then whatever subject matter that you think you are very well read on, very well prepared on, and you can write, you are aware about the current ongoings as well, because current affairs are very important. What government is recently doing in MSME sector, because I remember there were talks going on about expanding the scope of MSME in that year before the budget. The exam was just before the budget, and I was going through the current affairs, and there were other things as well, like SIDBI has recently launched some app as well. So I was well read about such kind of things. So I made sure whatever content I have, whatever subject knowledge I have, I'm properly utilizing in whatever question I'm choosing. And it is advisable if you choose something which is like in the question, which is at least one question which is related to MSME schemes. Because definitely if the examiner is evaluating your answers and they know that you are well read or well aware about the schemes that the concerned department ministry is having, then it leaves a good impression on the examiner. At the end, these are something which like answers which are evaluated by the humans and not the machines or AI. So they definitely would give some extra thought for the people who are well read about the schemes and use examples wherever you can.
So, just one more question for the descriptive writing part. So, whatever syllabus has been mentioned, say MSMEs were the main focus. So, most of the questions were revolving around MSMEs. Is that so? Most of the questions.
Yes, MSME or things related to MSME. For example, there is this invoice discounting of TREDS, Trades Platform, which is a platform which was launched by SIDBI itself. It's not directly related to MSMEs, like per se in the scope, but it is something for the aid of MSMEs. So there was a question on that.
So, for helping out the MSMEs, that so these you can say the platforms or portals which are kind of attached to MSMEs in some or the other way. That is the entire
Correct.
horizon. So,
Correct. Yes.
MSMEs only, but
Yes, ma'am. I think so. The best thing is that you have to stick to whatever words that are mentioned in your notification syllabus. So even like whatever words are mentioned, just go all the topics word by word, and do not leave any topics, subtopics of that, and you will be good enough to attempt any answer in the descriptive writing phase. So you do not have to worry about whatever is going on in general awareness or current affairs. You should be good read about those things, because it will eventually help to make your answers better. But for the scope of the questions that they are asking, if you are very thorough enough about whatever questions they are asking in the exam, then they are asking in the notification, sorry, all those subjects, if you are very thorough, then you will be able to completely drop that paper, I'll say. And just one more thing I'd like to add, because I missed out on the part of the pre, and even in this main section, there was a section of MCQ. So whenever such kind of exam is in front of you where there is no previous benchmark. For example, this time SIDBI, whatever pattern they had, we do not have any benchmark for this. This was the first time that they conducted 7 sessions and things like that. So by a general rule of thumb, try to attempt at least 60% of the questions, because you have to be worried about the negative marking as well. So by a rule of thumb, you should at least attempt 60% of the question if you want to fare in the cutoff list. So that's what I followed through the phase 1 as well, through phase 2 as well, for the MCQ part.
Okay, got it, got it. Let's move on to the interview portion now. How was your experience with the interview? Did you explicitly prepare for it, and how did you prepare for it? What was your experience? And during the interview day, what kind of questions did they ask you? Just give me a brief, brief understanding of you. How did you, prepare for it? Did you take any mock test or something? And how was your final interview? And what kind of questions were asked in the interview?
So again, interview was something like this exam was something which which was like a you can say neat fitted for my requirements, for my profile. I'd say that is one of the reasons I think so that I got through as well. Because they asked for MBA, I had an MBA. They asked for NBFC experience, even though it was not mandatory, but I had that experience. In the interview part, 25% weightage was for the ECA activities on national and state level. So I have been a national level debater. So I had that ECA advantage as well. So I think so that was something which really, really, really helped me in the interview round. And I'll tell you on later how it came around. And about the interview preparation strategy, I think so there was nothing much I did in terms of reading about current affairs or things, because I because I actually got some other offer as well in between that. So I got an opportunity to join Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Bureau of Indian Standards. I'm actually serving notice period right now over there. So I joined them as a YP consultant for their management system practices. And so my time was like devoid there. So I just took a day off a day before, and I was preparing for the interview. So the best thing that you can do for any interview is read about yourself, self-introspect, make a CV. I think so. They asked for a CV from us. So whatever CV you are submitting, whatever profile that you are giving, whatever details you are giving, you must be very well aware about everything about yourself. So that is the best thing that you can do for any interview. Forget even about the technical part of it. If you are not even prepared about the answers on yourself, that is something like for sure that is going to be asked in the interview. And if you are even not able to answer that, then it goes down from there. So that is the first and foremost thing. Every interview start with, like, tell me about yourself. Even before at the start of this session, the first question that you asked me was, tell me about yourself, my introduction. So that goes on for all interviews, irrespective. So I knew to what lengths and to what depths they can ask me for my CV, whatever I have written, whatever I mentioned, and I was very well prepared for that. For the technical part, I just revised whatever notes I made at the time of mains, because I should have at least some decent idea about things. On the day of interview, I went there in full business formals, and it was conducted at the SIDBI office of New Delhi itself. And there was a panel of 7 people, including one lady panelist. And I was 7th or 8th in the sequence out of the 12 people, those who were giving interview that day. And I think so I was the only candidate who was having the EC experience as well, because document verification was going on simultaneously. So I don't think so there was any other candidate who had an EC experience. So I had like a morale boost already, that I'm at least 25% ahead of other people. So that really helped me with my confidence. But as soon as the interview started, they were on an average going on for around 30 to 45 minutes. And the people were entering in the room with a happy face, a smiling face, and they were coming out with a very sadness on their face, and very disturbed and very grilled. I'd say grilled is the right word, because everyone was saying that they are asking anything, whatever you mention in front of them, they'll roast you on that. So they'll just keep on asking n number of questions on whatever you mention in front of them. So be very careful about what you are going to speak. Be very well balanced with your words when you go inside the interview room. So there was a bit jitteriness on my end as well before entering, because of the experiences that I was hearing, and I was seeing the reaction on the faces of the people. No one was coming out of the room happy or satisfied. So I was tensed. I just took off my tie and I opened a button of my shirt. I said, okay, let's see what's going to happen. I remember it was a hot day. I thought that tie didn't make sense. And at the moment I entered the room, I stand over there and I asked the chairperson, "Sir, may I sit?" So he said, yes, Tomar saab, baithiye, baithiye. So he saw that I was very casual, and he even started interacting very casually with me. And I was not expecting that. As the norm says, I first greeted the female panelists, and then I greeted the rest of the panelists as well. Good afternoon. And the very first question, they had this thick file of me, of whatever documents that I have submitted, whatever records that I had given to them, and probably my prelims, the phase 1 and phase 2 marks. So the very first question that the chairperson asked me is about my debating. So he asked that, here we can see there are a lot of certificates of debating. So what kind of debater are you? So I told them about my school experience. Then I told them about my college, university experience, that I've done different formats of debating, be it Asian, be it parliamentary, British parliamentary, turncoats. And then I told him about the domain, the languages that I've debated in, including Hindi, English, and Sanskrit. So he was like quite impressed about the Sanskrit part. So it started from there, the discussion. And the very first question that was given to me was, okay, so if you are so good at debating, I'll give you a topic, and you have to speak against it, and I'll give you 15 seconds to think and 15 seconds to speak. I said, okay, I'm prepared for it. It was like a live test, live challenge to put my skills to test. Yes. So that the topic was, India is not a functioning democracy. So that was the topic, and I was supposed to answer on that, against it. So I had to prove or substantiate that India is indeed a functioning democracy. That was 15 seconds. I just take a deep breath. I thought about it. Whatever came to my mind, I spoke. I just remember the last thing that I spoke. The last thing that I spoke was, to conclude my remarks, I'd say that India is a fully functioning democracy. And the biggest proof of that is that in past 7 decades, our governments have changed through ballots, not bullets. And that was the point that struck the dart in for the panelist. And the female panelist, especially, she lauded, she clapped. I was not expecting that in the interview. And I was told that the female panelist is the one who was like grilling the most. And when I saw that she is satisfied, then it was a sign of ease for me as well. And then from there, the questions were roaming around different things about my profile, about SIDBI. They asked a lot of questions on SIDBI as well, like how well you know about SIDBI, what are the subsidiaries of SIDBI. So I named the 4 subsidiaries of the SIDBI, and then they asked they gave a name of the 5th organization, and they asked, is this not the subsidiary of SIDBI? Then I told them, no, it is not a subsidiary per se, because SIDBI do not have the majority stakes in this organization, so we cannot call it as a subsidiary. So it was more of a knowledge test as well as a technical test as well, that I do know about this, the definition of subsidiary or not. Then there were a few questions on the commerce background as well. On the balance sheet, they asked me about different types of ratio, capital adequacy ratio, debt to equity ratio. All these were things that I was prepared about. I was able to answer. A few things I was not even able to answer. But whatever I didn't know, I told them very politely, sorry, sir, or sorry, ma'am, I do not know about this. Then they even asked me about some economics. They asked me what are open market operations of RBI. I told them about it. They asked me about my work profile, my work experience. So I had a work experience of my family organization as well, which is a education trust, education society. So they asked me in under which act it is registered. I knew that this is the depth that they can go. I was prepared that, and I answered them very, very well that I know that it is registered in Indian Societies Act of 1860. It's a British Parliament Act. So they were not expecting me to know such things, but going through so many interviews in my life, I knew that what kind of depth they can go in my resume. And then I remember the penultimate or the final question, I think so, was uh, again something related to my oratory skills itself. So they asked me this question, a very practical again, that suppose you are a SIDBI Grade A officer now and you are conducting a seminar for awareness about MSMEs, and the audience is a layman audience, so you cannot go ahead and tell them about how SIDBI is contributing, how MSME is contributing for GDP and stuff, but you have to tell them in the layman terms how SIDBI and MSME are relevant. So again, they gave me 30 seconds to think about to give my concluding remarks on that. And I was able to give some justified remarks. And being well read again helps you here, because I remember that my concluding remarks was how MSME is going to achieve the goal of having 20 Viksit Bharat by 2047 is one of the main goals of our government. So if you are well aware about the schemes and policies of government, and I told them in the context that primary sector, which is agriculture, is already overemployed, and the tertiary sector, which is IT sector, is already overutilized. So MSMEs is the sector which can actually help us to achieve that 2047 Viksit Bharat. So again, that was a ending on a good note. I mustered, and yeah, my interview ended after that.
Okay, that's great. That was a very nice and very comprehensive interview, you would say, not specifically related to SIDBI, but more about yourself also, and relating to it, they were connecting your personality, your traits with certain questions in this area. Right, this way they were asking questions, right?
Correct. So people do this mistake very often when they cleared the they clear the phase 1, they clear the phase 2, and then again when they are going for interview, they are preparing or mugging up the concepts of MSME or whatever the stream that they are appearing for. But they are actually not testing your knowledge. They have already done that in phase 1 and phase 2. They know that you already know those things. That's why you have qualified for the interview. What they are testing in the interview round or the personality test round is whether you are a suitable fit for being an officer. So you have to go inside with an officer mindset. So that is what you need to prepare. You need to prepare about yourself. You have to be confident.
Whether the knowledge you have gained, whether you are resonating it with yourself, and how your personality fits into that role, basically.
Correct. Correct.
They're not asking about the technical knowledge, but how that knowledge is integrating in your personality. In short,
ma'am, even the technical things that they asked, the OMOs or the debt to equity ratios, these are something even a 11th or 12th standard student of commerce can easily answer. So they were not testing your knowledge. They were all testing how well you are read about yourself, about the organization, and what is your attitude when you are given a task.
Responding instantly. How you're responding under pressure, basically.
Correct. Definitely.
Acha, one more question. Test in your preparation journey, and secondly,
sorry to yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was not able to hear you because there were some network issues from your end.
From my end, okay, let me just check. Am I audible now?
Yes, now you are audible. Yes.
My question is that what is the role of mock tests in your preparation? How did mock tests help you out? And how did you analyze them? I mean, because what happens is people give mock tests and our students give mock tests, but they do not analyze it. They do not see the answers to it. They'll give 10, 20 mock tests, but rather than, giving so many mock tests, a better strategy is you give 2 to 3 mock tests, but analyze it, right? So
correct, definitely.
Mock test preparation, and how did you go about it?
So this I can definitely share from my collective experience from CAT preparation, and then my RBI exam, my SIDBI exam, for which I took the dedicated mock test series. And then coming again for the SIDBI. For the SIDBI part, I did not take any test series, but I definitely gave 2 or 3 mock tests, which were your free trial mocks, which are there on different websites. So I definitely took 2 or 3 those of mocks for SIDBI, but for SEBI, I've taken dedicated mock tests. For RBI, I've taken dedicated mock tests, and very well said and very well put that more than giving those mocks, it is important how you analyze them. So the like ideal strategy is like these mock tests are around of 2 or 3 hours. So if you're giving 3 hours for a mock test, you have to at least give 6 hours for its analysis, because I don't think so it is otherwise justified if you're not giving proper analysis to it. So you have to if you are like today, I'm deciding to give one mock test. I've kept today for a mock test. So I'll take a mock test in the morning, and then the rest of the day I can plan for the analysis for that. And how I am going to go about it is firstly check all the questions that are wrong in the first reading so that you have an idea where did you go wrong. Then again start from the very beginning for all the wrong questions and try to understand why you did wrong, and then if and try to divide all the wrong questions into categories. Categories such as like what categories I used to have are like conceptual error or a silly mistake or a silly mistake is like when I'm doing some calculation error, or a reading mistake wherein I did not read the question properly, wherein it was asked which of the following is a part of and is not a part of, and I missed that not, and I read it as is a part of. So such kind of categories you have to find out, you have to figure out, you have to divide them as such. And if you are having questions where you are having conceptual errors, so you have to then take those questions one by one at the time when you are taking that question itself, and then do a very thorough analysis of it, like from whatever sources you have, from your books, from your notes. If you think there was something wrong which was mentioned in your notes, or if it was missing from your notes, then definitely add that in your notes. And then what additionally, like this is the generic thing, what additional thing that I used to do about mocks is I keep a notepad wherein I write all the wrong questions that I attempted. Like if I attempted this question wrong, I'll write the question, I'll write all the 4 options, I'll take the correct option which I attempted as wrong. So I'll make a collated list of all those questions for all those mocks. And just a day or 2 days before exam, I'll revise all the questions which I did wrong in all the mocks in one go from that note. So that actually helps a lot, because at the time I do not have to individually open all the mock tests one by one or go through them one by one. I can just in one go through all the wrong questions that I attempted in all the mocks, and it gives a good recall memory at the time of exam as well.
Got it. And what was the role of Oliveboard in your preparation? Just briefly, you've told me in parts about everything. Just give me a brief. Just tell me briefly what was the role of Oliveboard in your preparation.
So yeah, definitely. When I entered the waters, I was very clueless about what to do, what not to do, and even before leaving my job, I did a lot of thorough research. I spent hours on YouTube understanding what are all the regulatory bodies, what are all the exams, what are all the patterns. And amongst the videos which was coming more frequently was from the Oliveboard. So I got a lot of knowledge about the exams itself first from the Oliveboard. So I had that recall very well in my mind. And when it came the time for actual preparation, so the first exam was CB, I remember. For the pre, I remember I appeared for pre based on my own understanding, my knowledge, and whatever resources I was getting for free online. And but once I cleared the pre, I was sure that I need to give a dedicated effort to it. Then I purchased the Oliveboard's notes series, the PDF notes which are available on the website, because I knew that I was short on time. I cannot go for full lecture videos. It would be better if I do a self-study this time. So those notes actually helped me a lot, because they were very well categorized in terms of topics, subtopics, and even the section-wise, whatever section of the exam that I was preparing was very well coded, and they would open like one by one as a different pop-up. So it was easy to read on my tablet or on my laptop. And definitely the mock test that I gave for the stream specific as well, I can tell about the SEBI exam which I gave. Whatever the questions that were asked in those mock tests were very relevant. The analysis was very thorough. I was very much satisfied with the kind of preparation I was having. I had no regrets because it helped me to reach till the interview phase of SIDBI as well. So I'm very grateful for Oliveboard, even though it didn't turn out well. And eventually it turned out well as well because I was finally got through the SIDBI because of all the collective efforts. And apart from that, the English descriptive is something which stands out because when I'm not sure about the current scenario, but back then in August 2024, when I was trying to find out good coaching institutes where I can do this practice of English writing test, it was only Oliveboard which was there, where I can actually type in the answers, submit it in a dedicated time frame, and then they can give me a feedback on it. Other institutes were either asking me to type it on a Word file and then send it to them for getting it checked, or asking me to write it on a paper, which doesn't make sense because you have to eventually type it on a keyboard. So that is why I was very sure that Oliveboard is something which I have to go along with. And even though I felt a bit of guilt after I didn't clear the interview, that shit yaar, मेरे पैसे waste हो गए, मैंने खामखा मैंने material भी लिया, test series भी ली. But I do not have any regrets because it has eventually helped me for the SIDBI.
Exactly. That cumulative preparation basically helped you out in this examination, right?
Yes, as I said in the very beginning, it's a marathon. It's not never a competition. It's never a race. You have to keep running.
Exactly. I think we've had a very comprehensive conversation related to this, and I'm sure most of the viewers over here, most of the students are going to be very happy after listening to you and very motivated. Let's just end this session by maybe say 2-3 tips for the viewers, or especially for those who are preparing for this examination very dedicatedly, or for the first time beginners. Any something motivational, or 2-3 tips related to this that you would like to give to these first time, maybe those who are preparing for the first time, the beginners, or in general the students who are preparing for these kind of government exams. Just let's conclude this session by some kind of motivational quote or something by you.
As I'm not a great philosopher, I can definitely quote some great philosopher, but again, that would not be useful. So the first and very most important tip I'll give any aspirant for any competitive exam is be very sure why you want to do this. I was not very sure about why when I appeared for my MBA, and that's how I suffered as well. And I think so that was not something I actually wanted to do, but I just went along under the peer pressure, I'd say. Right now, I'm admitting it. But yeah, eventually it turned out for my own good. That's an entire altogether a different story. But you should be very clear about why for any exam. And it should never be any peer pressure or your parents' pressure or that societal pressure of getting a sarkari job, because you will be trapped in a cycle where there'll be no end of coming out of it. So just be very sure about it of why. For my case as well, before I quit my job, I did my thorough study or analysis of what I'm going to do, why I'm going to do, and is it actually what I'm trying to do. So a self-introspection is very important. So if you are as an aspirant very sure about why you want to do it, and it is something which is an intrinsic reason for you and not an extrinsic factor, then definitely you are going to get through either that exam or some exam, because things are very, very uncertain. You never know. Even if you give 100, 200% to something, it might still not work out because maybe God has planned something better for you. That's something you might not know at that moment, but eventually you might get to know about it. And I have this like it's all about the mindset that I told you now. Even at the time of going into the interview, I already had that mindset that I am an officer. So that mindset helps you a lot. I have a dedicated space to study where I am not disturbed. I am kept in my own company. I have things on my desk if I could show you, but I cannot right now. It's a bit messed up. But yeah, I have things which keeps me motivating, things that keeps me motivating. Just to give an example, this Ashok Stamba. So this is something which is like a showpiece for someone, but this is something which is like a motivation for me. And then I had random things written out here and there on my desk, like improvise, audentes, victim. So it's a Latin quote, which means improvise, adapt, overcome. So that is kind of a motivation for me. Even if I fail, improvise, then adapt to the changes and then overcome the difficulty. And definitely you're going to get results.
Great, great. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, Harsh. It was a very nice conversation with you. I'm sure those who are, listening to our conversation, they'll be very motivated, and I'm sure they'll also clear this examination. And once again, congratulations to you, and all the best for your future. And I just wish you endeavors and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you to the entire Oliveboard team for being the part of my preparation journey. And yeah, definitely looking forward to more such session in future. Thank you.
Chalo, take care and see you soon, maybe. Bye.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Take care.